Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Rabbi Isai, we're holding smack in the middle of the Amud. Kuf Aleph Amud Beis. Davar Acher. So one of the questions that was asked yesterday or this morning, we're talking about the chatos that was burnt by Aaron and his sons. And Moshe Rabbeinu was wondering, he's very upset by Yiktzah, he was upset. Why do you burn the chatos? Either you burn all the 3 goats or you don't burn any of them. What's going on here? But Davar Acher, I'll prove to you the reason why they burnt it was not because of Aninos, it was because of Tumah. Pinchas was alive. So what are you telling me? That they were the only Koyanim around? And even though they were Oinen, they had to perform, they had to perform the Avodah and everything, but Pinchas is alive. Pinchas could have done all the Avodah. Says the Gemara, Shapir Kar Milei. That's a very good taina. Says the Gemara, Savar Lo. So what's the answer? Savar Lo Rabbi Lazar, Don Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi Chanina, Leiniskaven Pinchas Asharogel Zimri. Pinchas, you're right, he was a Kohen, but only later on in life. When did he become a Kohen? After he killed Zimri. The Chesiv, it says in the pasuk, V'haisa Lo Lazari Achav Briskun Hasoyla. After Hashem was impressed that he was a Kanoi, and he got up and he killed Zimri, and Klal Yisrael was very upset at him, Hashem promised him, you and your children will be Briskun Hasoyla. You'll be Kohanim. Rav Ashi says another answer, and we have to understand why Rav Ashi, what is he going to do with this pasuk, V'haisa Lo Lazari Achav? It seems like Pinchas is a Kohen forever from that point on, from the point of Zimri. Rav Ashi says, no, Achesam Shalom ben Ashvatim. This is where we had the whole bus, Shalom. After Pinchas heard the story with the whole Mizbeach that was done by Bnei Gad and Bnei Ruvain, Klal Yisrael wanted to wipe Bnei Gad and Bnei Ruvain out. And the Bnei Gad and Bnei Ruvain told them that the reason why they built a Mizbeach where they weren't allowed to in Chutz La'aretz is because they wanted to prove to their children for future generations that they're Jewish. Living in Chutz La'aretz is dangerous. See, today there's a lot of zboilulus, a lot of intermarriage, and a lot of people get lost. They find assimilations. You also find different communities. Oh, they used to be Jewish. They are Jewish. What are they called in Spain? They found the Moranos. Maybe the Moranos. Maybe they're not. Who knows? Generations passed by. They were hiding from the Goyim. You should know, generation to generation, Klal Yisrael came to wipe us out. Why? Because we had a Mizbeach. Why did they come to wipe us out? Why did they wipe out the Africans over there? Because we are part of them, and we did something wrong. We did it on purpose to invoke anger and make them come to us, and then we can tell future generations that we are Jewish. So now the Gemara this is where we got to basically. And the Gemara says, we're going back to Rav Ashi. Doesn't it say in the pasuk, Vayishma Pinchas HaKohen? How can you say that Pinchas became a Kohen by Zimri? It happened much later when he dealt the Shalom over there with the Bnei Gad and Bnei Reuven. Oh, sorry. Vidach Nami, you're right. This one is Rav Ashi. Vidach Nami, because I remember when I was learning it, it's like Vidach, we just finished Rav Ashi. So that's why I stuck in my head. Vidach Nami is Rav Ashi. How can Rav Ashi say that it's when he did Shalom, but it says that he became a Kohen by Zimri, not by the Shalom. It says Gemara Kiksivahu bebrachu that only his children are going to be Kohanim, maybe. So it's basically like two. He's saying there's 2 stages. First, Hashem gave him a bracha that your children will be Kohanim. Then Hashem said, you did peace. Oh, you also become a Kohen. Now we have to understand the other tzad. How do you say that he became a Kohen by Zimri? Did he become a Kohen by the peace that he made with Bnei Gad and Bnei Reuven? That there's, again, to say that his children are like him. It's not only that he's a Kohen, but that his children are also Kohanim. Amarav Moshe Rabbeinu Kohen Gadol. Moshe Rabbeinu is a Kohen Gadol. V'choylek b'kotshei shamayim haya. And he divided up the Kachim. All 7 days of the Miluyim, Moshe Rabbeinu took a portion. We have the same question. How could we said before? Pinchas was around. Don't tell me that Aaron and his sons were the Kohanim. There's Pinchas. V'misa, and if it's true that the Moshe Rabbeinu was a Kohen, Leiba Moshe Rabbeinu Moshe Rabbeinu was around. He's a Kohen Gadol. Why does it only talk about Pinchas being in addition to the ones that are Einim? There's only Aaron and his two sons were Einim, and therefore they had to do the Avodah. No, there's Moshe Rabbeinu. He could have done the Avodah. He wasn't an Einim. Maybe perhaps Moshe Rabbeinu was busy talking to the Rebbeinu Shalom, the Amar Mar, Moshe Bashkama Yara. Back in the day, by Matan Torah, he would get up early in the morning, he'd come back in the morning, 24 hours. It's not. He wasn't a person that you could rely on for that. He was busy with the Rebbeinu Shalom. Meisvei Lechem Elikav Mekachei HaKadoshim U'Min HaKachim Yoichel. Again, we're talking about a Baal Mum over here. Lechem Elikav, the bread, the Kaddish bread, and it talks about two types of kachim. Mekachei HaKadoshim, what's that? Kachim. U'Min HaKadoshim, and also from kachim, which would seem like kachim kalim. So the Gemara asks a simple question: in Nemru Kachim Kachim, Lama Nemru Kachim Kalim. Why do we have to have two types? Nemru Kachim Kalim, Lama Nemru Kachim Kachim. Say one of the two. Says the Gemara, Ilu. We're just trying to get to a point to show that Moshe Rabbeinu was not a Kohen Gadol. Ilu Nemru Kachim Kalim. If we wouldn't say Kachim Kalim, I see Omer Kachim Kachim Huda Eichel. I would say that Kachim Kachim is different. That you could eat Kachim Kachim. Why? Sharei Hujul Lazar Vilahen. Kachim Kachim were allowed for a Yisrael to eat and also to Kayanim. Where in the world do you let a Zar eat Kachim Kachim? Must be Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu was a Zar. He was a Yisrael. No, so it says Mefurish, he's a Yisrael. How are you telling me that he's a Kohen Gadol? Kachim Kalim lo yoichal. And now it also says over there, we're just finishing this off. Chiddush, don't eat. You shouldn't eat Balmum. Shouldn't eat Kachim Kalim. I'm sorry. I would think like Kachim Kalim you shouldn't eat. If it would just say, it wouldn't say Kachim Kalim. This is everybody would say this svara. Maybe a balmum, somebody has a blemish, he should eat the easier kachim, not the severe, the strong one. Because he should not eat the real strong ones. Great. That's why we have both the kachim kachim and kachim kalim. But the bottom line is, obviously Zar is referring to Moshe Rabbeinu. Omer Rav Sheshes, no, loy, bebama, Lazar. We're talking about the bama. There were certain times in Klal Yisrael where people were able to bring a carbon in their backyard. There's a bama g'doila, bama ktana. Rashi says over here we're talking about a bama g'doila. No? Bama ktana. Sorry, bama ktana. Bama ktana. There was you could eat the mincha. Seder, enough. Great, that's a bama. I want that picture right over there. Bama. Guys, in his backyard in Tom's River over there. All the way in the bottom. On this bama ktana, you can bring a mincha, and that's what it's talking about over here. That's where a Yisrael eats a mincha on a bama ktana. We're going to see later that when you bring a mincha to the Beis Hamikdash, you don't need it at all for the Yisrael. Meisvei. Another question. So we're going back to that guy now. We said that Moshe Rabbeinu was a Kohen Gadol. Miriam is Giro. So the way it works is a person has tzaras. Oh, so you need a Kohen to check out the tzaras. And then when the Kohen checks out the tzaras and he decides that it's really tzaras, he sends you out of the machna. Now, the question is, Miriam that had tzaras, mi is Gira, who decided that she is a Mitzayra? Im Toimer Moshe is Gira, you'll tell me that he's a Kohen and he decided Moshe Zarhu. It says Mefurish over here that Moshe Rabbeinu was a Yisrael, not a Kohen. Ve'ein Zar, right in a Kohen, famous halacha, that only a Kohen, and not only a Kohen, any Kohen, even Amaretz Kohen, can look at it and decide yes or no. We could ask a rabbi, but a Yisrael Gadol Adar cannot paskin on tzaras. V'im Toimar Aaron is Giro, you'll say, okay, Aaron, the brother. Aaron Karavu, Aaron is her brother, he can't. Why the Gemara doesn't answer that? Okay, to discuss it, Ayin in the Marsha, whatever. Ve'ein Karav Royas and a gun. Aaron is a relative, he can't. So what happened? Miriam gave Miriam tremendous amount of honor. Ani kohen, I'm the kohen. Vani masgira, I'm going to decide that she's a musgar. Ani cholta, I'm going to put her. I'm going to machlet her. In other words, there's different levels, right? First you say go for 7 days, come back. When she comes back, So I'm going to do it all. Vani Poitra, and at the end of the day, I'm going to say that she's done. Tani Mia, it's Moshe Zar, Vein Zar, and a guy. This is before Moshe Rabbeinu is Yisrael. Or Racham Bar Yitzchak, Shani Maris Negoyim, the Aaron of Bon of Ksuvim Parasha. What's different is by Maris Negoyim. Do I have the pasuk? Yeah, here's the pasuk. Look what it says in the pasuk. Pasuk base. V'huva el Aaron hakoyin or elechad mibanav hakyanim. It says mefurish that you should bring it, the tzaras, only to Aaron and his sons. Finished. Listen to this. Chomesh smachos hoisa Elisheva. Elisheva, who's Elisheva? Elisheva is Aaron's wife, but also Nachshon's sister. She had, and
Gershon.
Good. Yeah. Elisheva, she had 5 things going for her. Yavam Melech, it's an interesting lashon. Her Yavam, well, who's her Yavam? If her husband Aaron would die, who would be Miyavim her? Moshe Rabbeinu. So we're calling the brother-in-law Yavam. Isha, her husband, Kohen Gadol. Bina, what about her son? Zgan. Elazar is Zgan. Ben Bina, the grandson, Pinchas. Mishloach Mechama. When they go out to war, he gives the whole Musr thing. Vachia, and her brother, Nasi Shevet. Va'avela Shnei Bunel. She just lost 2 sons in her lifetime, young guys. It says that her brother-in-law, Moshe Rabbeinu, Melech, says the Gemara, Melechin, Kohen Gadol, he was only a king. It doesn't say, he's a Kohen Gadol. Ema Af Melech. He was a Kohen Gadol, but he's also not only Kohen Gadol, he's a Melech. And what about Aaron? We have to figure it out. It says the Gemara Ketanoi, like a Machlokes Tanoi. Vayichar Af Hashem b'Moshe. Hashem got upset with Moshe Rabbeinu when he refused to go to Paroi. Every time it mentions in the Torah that there was anger, there's a roishim, something happened, there was a curse after, there's something happened. Nothing happened afterwards. It's not true, something happened over there. Your brother Aaron was a Levi. But Aaron is not a Levi, he's a Kohen. I wanted you, Moshe Rabbeinu, to be a Kohen. And he to be the Levi. Because you messed up over here and you refused to go to Paroi, I'm punishing you right now. This is the Roshim. Here's the punishment. He, from now on, for generations, Rabbi Schoenberg right now, and Dani are Kohanim because it was supposed to be for Moshe Rabbeinu, but it went to Aaron HaKohen. Va'ata Levi. And you are going to remain a Levi. So you see, he was a Kohen, but then he turned into a Levi. Another answer. Moshe Rabbeinu was only, he was a Kohen, but only for 7 days, during the Miluim. Moshe remained a Kohen, but his children are not Kohanim anymore. Only his sons are going to be called a Levi. So Moshe and Aaron are still Kohanim. It says Mefurish, Moshe is a Kohen. Why do I need a second pasuk? Maybe it's for future generations, the first one. No, Moshe right now is a Kohen. Not the future generations. He himself is a Kohen. Every time it mentions anger, there's something that happened afterwards. Moshe Rabbeinu was very upset because Paro said, "Don't ever come back to me. I don't want to see your face." So Moshe left with anger. And Moshe didn't reply, didn't curse him or anything. Story of Yatza. He gave him a smack in the face. Moshe Rabbeinu smacked Paro right in the face. How can Rish Lakish say such a thing? Rish Lakish is the one that says, "V'amar Lakish melachu v'hazver le'panim." You got to treat a king with respect. Respect. To smack a king in the face is respect. Rabbi Yochanan argues and he says, "No, Paro is a Rasha. Be mechutzav diktem." Says the Gemara Epoch. No, it's Rabbi Yochanan who said treat him with respect. Rish Lakish in fact says be chutzpah diktem. So therefore, Rish Lakish said he smacked him in the face. You should always have the fear of the kingdom on you. Moshe told Paroi all your slaves are going to come to me. What he really meant is, you're going to come to me. And in fact, Moshe Rabbeinu did come to him. He didn't say, you come to me, because it's not respectful to tell the king, you're going to come to me. The famous story with Eliyahu, the biggest Rasha, Achav of the Rasha, the king, but Eliyahu Navi, out of respect of the kingdom, he ran in front of King Achav, ran in front of his horse. Bikish Moshe Malchus Moshe Rabbeinu wanted kingdom, and Akash Baruch didn't give it to him. The Chsiv Al Tikrav Aloim. We'll see. Haloim is like a word that has to do with kingdom. Ve'en Aloim Elo Malchus. Shenemar Mi Anoichi Hashem Elikim Ki Havayesani Ad Haloim. Okay. Basav Rabbi Shmuel Omer Yivama Melech. It says Mefurish that Moshe Rabbeinu was a king. Yivama, her brother-in-law, was a king. Omerava Loi Ulazari Kamar. It meant that Moshe Rabbeinu, his children are not going to be kings. He himself was a king. Says the Gemara, every time it says the word haloim means for generations. It also says haloim. Who in Shaul was a king, Zarilai, but his children not. Says the Gemara, two answers. His son was a king. Ishbois was a king for 2 years. Even he himself didn't remain a king. When they give somebody greatness, this greatness goes for generations. It goes forever, the king goes forever. This is the Gemara, but if a person acts with haughtiness, HaKadosh Baruch Hu puts him down. So Shaul, because he sinned, HaKadosh Baruch Hu put him down. Yes, you're right, it's supposed to go for generations, but if you mess up, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes it away from you. So we learned Balimumim, Bain Balimumim, Oivrim, Bain Balimumim, this. Every male gets to eat even a Balmum. And we went through the Gemara, maybe it means Tulya. No, it means him. So just to point out, it says Kol Zocher 3 times, so the Gemara is going to do 3 drushes here. It's just easy, we're repeating itself. There's a Mefurish pasuk that a Balmum, one with a blemish, could eat. Kachim, it says, boom. Elo lechaluka means he gets to divide up. In other words, he could demand a portion. He doesn't have to wait for his friend to give him a gift. And another Tana says the same thing, but from the second drasha. So Kol Zocher says a balmum. To eat, we have a pasuk. We saw it before. We just learned it a second ago. So now we're going to add it. How do you know about mum that started off his life with a mum? How do you know that he gets to eat? That's the third one. And now we're doing the whole thing all over again, so it's like a freebie. We just learned all these 3 things. But I'm going to add one thing. Now, whoa, this is a problem. We just said a person that has a mum that never go away could eat from the kachim. So now the Gemara is saying, but what about a guy that has a broken bone and he has a cast and it's going to go away in 3 weeks? He for sure could eat. And now the Gemara is saying no. But maybe a guy that has a cast shouldn't be able to eat. Says Gemara, Klapi Laya, makes no sense what you just said. On Rav Sheshes Epoch, we have the famous Epoch here, just in case you didn't get it. We thought that a Balmum Kavua, he has a mum that will never go away. He could eat green, he eats. But we thought that maybe somebody that has a broken bone that's going to go away, he shouldn't be able to eat. No, that makes no sense. So therefore, I have to flip it around. A person that has a cast and it's going to go away, for sure he could eat. But how do you know that there's a mum kavua that even if he'll never go away, how do you know he could eat? That's why we have a pasuk. Kozach. Ravashi Omer Lo Ilum Lo Teipach. No, you don't have to flip it. Mitzvah. In other words, this is good. A person who's tamei, you will just wait it out. He'll be tar in 7 days. He'll be tar in 2 days. So wait it out. This guy also, he has a cast on his arm. So wait for a week. Wait for 3 weeks. Be patient. You hear this? There is logic to say that a person who's born with a mum and will never go away, he gets to eat. Because there's nothing for him to wait. It's never going away. So let him eat now. The Torah has Rahmanas on him. Eat right now. But a person has a mum that's going to go away, the Torah doesn't have Rahmanas on him. Be patient. It's like a person who's tummy. The Torah doesn't have Rahmanas on someone's tummy. Wait. Kol shady roy. Very bal mum. It says in the Mishnah, if you're not available to do the avodah, you can't do avodah, you don't get a portion. As the Gemara bal mum can't do the avodah, but he gets a portion. V'su. Now I'm going to just make a simple deal. But if a person, it seems like, it says Mefurish in the Mishnah, a person that can't do the avodah doesn't get a portion. And if a person could do the avodah, he does get a portion. The Gemara is going to answer, no, we're not doing diyukim today. No diyukim in the Mishnah. We only go in one direction. If you don't do the avodah, you don't get a portion. Not don't do. You can't do the avodah, you don't get a portion. But the Gemara first says, a person who's tamei, but he could perform the avodah. So in other words, he's available for any tamei person is available for not person kohen is available for the avodah because there's something called the carbon of the community. The avodah, and nevertheless he doesn't get a portion. Says Gemara, okay, let's change it a little bit, and then the Gemara is going to go back. We don't have to change it. Doesn't mean that he could do the avodah. The criteria is that he has to be able to eat. So therefore, a person whose tummy can't eat, he can't do the avodah. A person who's bal mum could eat, he does get a portion. I'm sorry, what did I say? A person who's bal mum, the person whose tummy cannot eat, therefore he doesn't get a chelak. A person who's a bal mum could eat, he does get a chelak. He could demand a portion. But what about a child? He could eat, his father could give him a steak, but he can't demand a portion. Says the Gemara, ha loik tani. That's because you were inferring. We're not inferring today. Today we're just going straight. The Mishnah says, if you cannot perform avodah, you don't get a portion. Don't tell me, but if you could perform, or if you could eat, then you do get a chelik. No, there's no if you could. It's only if you cannot perform avodah. If you cannot eat, you don't get a chelik. So Ashi does this lachi. Once you tell me this idea that we're not doing diyukim today in the Mishnah, so you go back to what we said before, that if a person is not roy la'avodah, you don't have to say a person is not roy la'achila. A person is not roy la'avodah doesn't eat. Imishum tamei like katani. You're asking me a question from a person who's tamei who cannot perform the avodah, and he doesn't get person who's tamei. What's our question? So the person whose tummy could perform that avodah with karbanis tzibur. Imishum tummy like katani. I'm not doing diyukim today. V'imishum bal mum, and you're asking me a question about a bal mum who could eat even though he can't perform the avodah. Rachman Ravi, that's a special pasuk of Kol Zachar that's Merabah. Afilu tummy b'shas rikas dami b'tor b'shas sekta chalav v'meni chaylik. So we said even a person who at the time of the zrika was completely tar, but at the end, by the hekta chalavim, a person who's tummy in the beginning and tar at the end, he doesn't get a chalukah. He can't demand a portion. Why? So we know that the beginning is always the most important part. The zrikas adam is the most important. Why don't you just tummy then? So the Gemara says, let's make a deal. Now we are doing the yukim. This makes sense. If he was tar in the beginning, which is the essential part, the zrika, the main part of the avodah, and later on, if he was tamei at the end, when you put the stuff on the mizbeach, which is not so essential, you do get a portion. So the Gemara says like Abishol, that doesn't go according to Abishol. It's not Abishol. You have to go from end to end, from beginning to end. You have to be tar. The makra makar is dam ashlam is achelet. From the zrika all the way to aktaris chalavim, you have to be tar. The afilu hekta chalavim nami bay. So we don't go like him because as long as he was tar in the beginning by the zrika, even though he became tummy afterwards, he gets a portion. Let's see if he did it. I asked him to do it, but it's a short day today.
Why is Zrika not Kabbalah?
No, that's so we always go by Zrika. Zrika is the. If he's Tomei by Zrika, but Tahar when he puts it on the Mizbeach, we said that's okay. Is that Dani or is that Dani? So if by the Zrika he's Tar, Dani, you're a dancer. Huh? And by the Egdach Halav and Tomei, we said that's good. But what about Tar over here? Tomei over here. And Tar over here. You see the question? Here's the Gemara's question. On the bookends, he's Tar, but in the middle, he was Tomei. He went to the mikvah. When you touch a sheretz, you go to the mikvah that day, and you become Tar at night. And at night, you're allowed to be maktir. What's the halacha if the person became Tomei smack in the middle, like we see over here? Dani, fine, is Tomei in the center. The main point is that he should be Tar when he's doing the Zrika. He should be Tar when he's doing the Aktara. The fact that he's Tomei in the middle doesn't make a difference. Or Dilma, or perhaps actually a Tar Mishas Zrika V'Achas Hektor Chalavim, or maybe no, he should be Tar from beginning to end. And I don't know the answer. Teiko. Rabbi Yisai, let's just do a little piece here. It's all the same. It's very, very simple. Mamish simple, but we'll start the sugya. Omarav Haidino Merib Elazar Reb Shimon Gamirno. I learned. By you says Rava. Yeah, so by me it says Rav, because Rava was an Amoira, and it's impossible that he learned this from Rabbi Elazar, but I know in the Gemara it says, my Gemara just switched it like that. Omar Rav, Haidina, it doesn't even say, oh, by the way, it used to be Rava. Omar Rav, Omar Rava, Haidina Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Shimon Gamir. I learned this halacha from Rabbi Shimon, most interesting thing ever. The Omar Bebeis HaKisei. He came up with this halacha in the bathroom. Rabbi said, should we just stop here? It's a new sugya, and it's an easy sugya because once you get the first part, it goes, Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day.
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shir today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDYDaf.com.